Welcome to a special Small Town Times episode where we're going to talk about the 25th anniversary of the Canadian Ecology Centre with Backroads Bill.
Seems like a long time, but 25 years and more have flown by.
Yeah, I guess so. I remember when it first opened up. Don Curry was there, Glenn Brophy, there was a few others. You're the last man standing?
Yeah, I'm still standing and still going to be there for a little while longer, but it's been quite a ride. And of course, it goes beyond 25 years. You know, I first, when I was teaching high school credit courses in the summer, we were camping. And then, of course, it came up with the idea we should have some buildings to house these students as an environmental education center. Because people ask me, how did all this start? Well, first of all, I rode my steel frame mountain bike into Samuel de Champlain Park when there were only steel frame bikes. And I thought, I think I'll teach a course there. I contacted the Paul Moffat, he was superintendent at the Nipissing School Board, now the Near North Board. I said, Paul, I think I'll teach a course here. And of course, back in those days, the answer was, it will keep us informed, Bill. And that was kind of like the liability check, but they trusted you. And off we went and taught the courses, and eventually the whole concept with the Mattawarren Area Forestry Committee and creating these buildings within the park, which had never been done before, and creating this wonderful environmental education. That's how it started.
Is there anything different from when you started to how you operate now?
I think there's a lot of things different. First of all, the whole school climate has changed. We hope the pendulum is swinging towards let's get students outside for all those good reasons, for vitamin N, for nature, and of course, reducing anxiousness and the like. I think there's more of a need now to take students outside than there was or ever was. I think we knew it. I knew it all the way along, but now I think there's even more good reasons and better reasons to do that. And so the park is an ideal setting. Anywhere you go outside is a good reason.
Well, outdoor education has so many benefits, and now the need is more than anything else, for sure, because young people are spending too much time on screens. And they need that extra sort of feeling that there's a world out there so that they can put into context what they see on their phones every day.
Well, one of the things, talking about the phones, we've been doing this ever since the cell phone came out, is that we ask willingly the students give up their cell phones when they're in residence with us for 2 weeks doing those intensive high school credit courses. We give them tech time about 20 minutes every other day. And so and of course, parents and the students will tell you at the end of that experience, they're glad to do so, because we do all know we spend too much time on those devices. And so that's, I think, and of course, I kind of laugh these days because there's now a mandate this coming September where students are going to have to utilize their phones with specific rules in mind.
That's interesting. Now, are you going to do anything special for the 25th?
Yeah, it's coming up. I guess next Friday, June the 7th, we're going to have a bit of a celebratory session. Minister Vic Fideli is supposed to be there. George Flumerfeld from Redpath. He's going to talk about our mining tours. We're doing all these mining tours, modern mining tours with the Ontario Mining Association and the Canadian Institute of Mining for many, many years, fully sponsored, because there's an important learning lesson. Of course, we know in life, if it's not mined, it's grown, or if it's not grown, it's mined. So we have to look at those 4 pillars of modern mining, of safety, the environment, jobs, and technology, so people understand that everything in this room probably comes from the mining sector or the agrarian section.
Well, when you talk about mining tours, you actually take groups of students to the mines up north?
Yeah, we take students and we take teachers, because exponentially over the course of a career, if you're going to talk about it, seeing is believing. That's the whole concept. You can't see it in an annual report or a video. You have to go and experience that and see that people don't get up in the morning to rape and pillage the earth. They're there because they care about the environment and good things. And we're hearing about electric vehicles every other day, that it comes from the mining sector. So the Canadian Ecology Centre, I always think, is kind of a middle-of-the-road Canadian way of thinking, that we can look at resource extraction. At the same time, we can do better with reducing our consumptive lifestyles.
And understanding the context of your life and how you can learn and exist with nature, because that's the way nature intended it to, right?
Yeah. There's something I established a long time ago. It's called the MADE principle, MADE, make a difference environmentally. So at the end of your career, the end of your life, we hope that we can do that. And so I think we're learning these days with climate change, that we can do lots of little things ourselves to reduce that consumptive lifestyle, because that is the real problem on the planet. We just consume too much, and so we've got to change that and make a difference environmentally.
Now, I was at the center not last fall, but the fall before, with the Broken Forest Group,
Right.
and it was really interesting. It seems like the park is magical and mythical itself. We were at having the bonfire that one night, and I swear, of course, it was a Starlink going by with all its satellites, but it actually looked like a spaceship. It was like you could almost reach out. It was the one moment I didn't have my camcorder with me, and I still have the vision of those satellites, but in between it all, it looked so much like a UFO.
I remember there was 2 or 3 nights like that. I remember the first time looking up in the sky and thinking the world is ending.
Yeah.
So that's how that occurred, and of course on a starry night or
Well, that's
full
the
moon
thing.
night.
There's no light pollution out there.
No.
And everything was so crisp, but I thought I was just going to get beamed up that night, and I hadn't even eaten my cookies yet.
Well, if they do come along, I always put my hand up and say I'm going, and I apologize in advance to my family, but I am going. But the park is a special spot. It's part of our formula. I mean, what better place is the Canadian Ecology Centre is placed within a provincial park, Samuel de Champlain Provincial Park, and of course the cabins are really, really nice. The food is good, and in the programming, I think.
How many can you accommodate there?
Yeah,
now?
well, there's 38 cabins, but depending on how many you put in the cabin. So if you want your own cabin, you can have your own cabin, or if you want to share a cabin. So the number varies, but we can take over more than 100 people. But it's again, we're not a camp. We are an environmental education center, and I often tell people is that Google, where is the nearest environmental education center? We often come up, but apart from school boards, large school boards in Ontario, like the Toronto District School Board, there are not many environmental education centers out there. And I often say that, as I just said, and people look at me like I have 3 heads, because I could ask you that and you'd be stuck perhaps for an answer. Again, we're not a summer camp, and summer camps run differently and mostly seasonally, where we run 365 days of the year, and we have such a diverse audience. So many Indigenous groups utilize the Canadian Ecology Centre because they feel comfortable there because your nature is. There's nothing against those big chain hotels, but if you want a meeting with a difference or try to do something that's connected with the outdoors, places like a provincial park and the Canadian Ecology Centre is the place to be.
Well, I find it opens your mind and your heart to whatever the topic is, and I personally feel constrained when I'm in an urban environment when that comes to that kind of thing, and learning and networking and growing as a group. What are the plans going for this summer? Are there anything people can take part in?
Yeah, so again, the celebration is next Friday, and then Saturday we have an open house. But it's business as usual. I often say to people, here's your advice: when you grow up, don't run a nonprofit and don't become an innkeeper, because yes, the bricks and mortar, there was lots of funding from the Heritage Fund provincially and Industry Canada, FedNor, private sector contributions, and I really hope. I just got an email today from Frank Dettori. He's hoping to come out next Friday, because it wasn't for Frank. He kind of unlocked all that $7.2 million going back 25 plus years. So I hope he shows up. It'll be a real honor. One of our buildings is called Frank's, and it's named after Frank. And so looking forward to, it's business as usual. It's the summer intensive high school credit courses, our day camps and the like. And again, we have so many different, whether it's the private sector, or NGOs. I mentioned Indigenous groups that come there for various reasons to be, as you just said, to be out there with nature.
And I've seen on your website there sometimes there's opportunities where somebody might, like Wob Rice did his book reading there. So those type of things come up once in a while where people can pay for and take part in?
Special events like the Earth Day book talk, and Wob's been there twice. I kind of predict he's going to be shortlisted for the Giller Prize, and I hope he's the recipient. He actually, the story goes there, and he tells it that the kernels or the seeds of his book were planted at the Canadian Ecology Centre when he did a writing retreat. He put it all together, and then he had to he had to write. And the next thing you know, he's got a bestseller. And so,
Of course, we're talking about Walt Bryce, former CBC guy from Wisconsin, and his book, The Moon of the Crusted Snow.
and then Fallen Leaves.
And the newest one is The Moon of the Fallen Leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent.
And we've had Adam Schultz there, Roy McGregor, and lots of people at our Earth Day book talk. So yeah, we have lots of special events and special groups that come along for it's forest bathing, forest therapy guides, the artists that were there last summer you were a part of. And so again, they use the facility to bring people together spiritually, I think, because that's what nature does for us.
And of course, when there's downtime, people go for walks, and then they get a chance to be at the river, which is a powerful experience for a lot of people.
Yeah, the Mattawa River.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a Canadian heritage river. It's so important. Goes back thousands of years with Indigenous people, and then of course the age of exploration. Fraser Thompson Mackenzie, Samuel de Champlain, Etienne Brulé, Radisson
They all floated
walked
by.
that portage. They all floated by, going upstream and then downstream.
Of course, we have the Mattawa canoe race on Saturday. They'll be going by during your open house.
Yeah, we just did a podcast about that.
Yeah.
A Backroads Bill podcast. It'll be it'll be on the weekend next week and
On Wednesday. Yeah.
yeah. So that's the race, and of course that's 64 kilometers from North Bay to Mattawa. So we're in the setting is really important when you think about the Canadian Ecology Centre.
Yeah, right on. And did you guys talk about Ben and Michaela and from the Echo being in the race?
Yeah, we did. And in fact, we had Brian Taylor, former general manager of the North Bay Mattawa Conservation Authority, on. And Ben and Michaela are kind of, I don't want to call them rookies, but they're new to the race. And I don't know, I think one of them knows what she's getting into, but I don't think Ben does.
They're completely unprepared.
They're completely unprepared, and maybe they will be floating by at that time of the day as they make their way from west to east towards Mattawa. But there's all those portages, and we just had Mark Harris from Waterfalls of Ontario on, and of course the famed Talon Chutes and Imperisu Falls on the way. So there going to be lots of scenery for their paddling and everyone else.
How's the water level for this time of year for that race, which was usually in July, mid-July? What do you think they're going to experience?
It was a conscious decision to move the race earlier in the year because of low water levels, and that may be an indication of climate change. But I've found over my years of being out in the park, approximately 37 years, now with climate change, we're getting peaks and troughs during the summer, and you could have intensive rains and the river will come right back up. So I think they're going to try to reap the benefits of a higher water level. But again, you'll have to, and of course it's 75 years for the Blackfly song. You'll die with the Blackfly picking your bones in Northern Ontario. I just spoke about that on the CBC. So they'll be swatting the Blackflies, but I think the water will be in their favor.
Well, they should be praying for a west wind at their backs.
Well, yes, we should be. They could get down on their knees, perhaps. They don't want to crawl along the portages, but maybe they're some sort of
an east wind would take the Blackflies away from them and put them behind them, but they'd be paddling into the wind.
I'm hoping for good weather for them.
Yeah, it would be nice. Right on. Actually, I'm going to be in Mattawa. Good friends of mine have a wedding on that Saturday, and it's going to be off-grid kind of wedding. Another part of Mattawa River on the other side of Mattawa. So I'm hoping for good weather too.
Well, we welcome everyone to come out to the Canadian Ecology Centre for our 25th celebration, and we'll look forward to many, many more years.
Well, I hope to have you back on the Small Town Times, because I wanted to talk to you about some issues. I know you're on the school board, and I'm going to corner you one of these days. We're going to talk about what is that? Diversity, education, DEI?
Yeah, inclusion. Yes.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about that sometime, and we're going to
vaping in schools and all those kinds of things.
Yeah, we're going to talk about school stuff. How's that?
Yeah, school stuff. All right. School stuff matters.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe. That's what helps all the channels, and I'm one of them on the North Bay Echo Community Podcast Network. You can find us at northbayecho.ca. Please subscribe to the newsletter I do twice a week. Small Town Times, and a number of different podcasters in town are all part of this little network. So have a good day. Thank you.